Hey guys, Mustang here bringing a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so tomorrow we are getting the release of the EZA for LR, God, Goku and Hit. It's going to be a typical 10 stage LR EZA, good old LR EZAs, right, just the 10 stages instead of 30. These ones are considerably easier than the TUR ones as well, because whilst you do want to focus on having the legendary power link active to do more damage, so therefore LRs are obviously the ones you want to go for more so than TURs. The one thing to note as you scroll down the stages and we see the rewards, the enemy that you fight, and everything you get, right, obviously for stage 10 we finish getting all the medals, and any stage you want to do past there you just got Hercule statues, but nowhere in here is there the restriction where it says, you know, like once you get to a certain stage, these types of units do less damage. So this means that you are completely free to use super or extreme units of any typing. Obviously, characters who are in the weakness category, which is accelerated battle, are going to be the characters who are stronger defensively, which means any non-accelerated battle characters will be taking more damage. And then having the legendary power link active allows you to do more damage to the boss. Now, it's not a complete necessity. Like I've said this in the past, like I've beaten full 10 stages of LR EZAs using a full team of TURs. It just takes a little bit longer because you don't do as much damage. So you want to try and prioritize having as many LRs on the team as possible. Obviously, the more TURs you run on the team, the more likely you are to end up with a rotation where you only have one LR, and then obviously they don't get legendary power active. But otherwise it should be pretty straightforward. Nothing really to have to go over here in terms of the stages. Obviously we just fight the SSR, TUR and LR version of Hit and God Goku, and that will be that for the 10 stages. So if we go ahead and take a look here at the accelerated battle category, obviously we've got the LR, God Goku and Hit themselves, but we're not going to be using them, right, especially without their EZA. We're doing this to get their EZA. We've got the new Hit, we've got the Super Saiyan 3 to Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Glorio, the Dispo banner unit from UI Goku, and AGL Super Saiyan 3 to Angel Goku. There are some other options, of course, as well. We're going to talk about those here now. So as always with my team building, guys, I'm going to go over my top picks and honorable mentions. If there are any units that I missed out or you think I should have talked more about, do let me know down below in the comment section. And if you find the guide helpful at all, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So straight away we can obviously talk about the new Hit. I mean, no surprise, they always do this with the EZAs in a big celebration, where they obviously want you to use the new unit that has just come out because they lead the team that is usually the weakness category. So Hit, of course, has accelerated battle as one of his 170 leads, with tournament participants or super bosses as the plus 50. For the most part, as long as you're stacking the team up with some of these LRs we're going to be talking about, a 170 lead is perfectly fine, because not a lot of the characters are going to be on the full 220 anyway. Obviously, remember, you want there to be 2 or more tournament participant allies or another Universe 6 ally on the team in order for him to get his intro animation. But if you're running double Hit leads, then the Hit friend counts for that, right? So Hit will still be relatively good in this event. Like, he's not an LR, of course, right? So that's one non-LR on the team and one unit that's not going to be providing legendary power to some of the other LRs, but he's a solid unit. Obviously this isn't his forte in terms of events, right? He's better in the longer events because he is a stacking unit, but he's still going to be perfectly fine. Solid offense, solid defense, has the dodge chance and everything. So all in all, he's just going to be a very good unit if you did pull him as a leader for the team. Obviously I know not everybody summoned on the banners, but he is going to be a good one. A unit that a lot of people probably do have at this point is the Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku, who leads accelerated battle and then has Kamehameha or time limit. Very easy to get a lot of good solid characters that get the full leader skill from him. And he, of course, is a unit that is very, very strong defensively in short events, which is perfect for EZAs. EZAs usually don't go much longer than 3 or 4 turns, unless, of course, you are going past the final stage for the medals to see how far you can grind the stages. Obviously, some people do that for fun, for the challenge, or to just farm Zenny, right? Because you need Zenny for a lot of things, especially doing EZAs. But once you get to a certain point, especially if you farmed a few of these EZAs past their final stages, you find yourself not really needing a lot of them. So in terms of the stages 1 to 10, there's not really ever going to be a point where this guy becomes defensively too weak, because he also has type advantage, right? So he's definitely going to be a very, very solid leader option. And then even if he's not a leader, he could be a solid option on the team, but of course bearing in mind that he isn't an LR either. So another non-LR but that makes a great leader for this team is Glorio. You guys know I talk about Glorio all the time and how good his team is, how good his leader skill is. The big thing with this guy is that he's the slot 3 support archetype leader, right? So if you want to build a team that is double Glorio and then everybody else is LRs, unless you get an unfortunate starting rotation where you have both the Glorios, you're going to have legendary power active because you've got the 2 LRs, and then Glorio just kind of sits in slot 3 buffing them with his support passive, allowing them to do even more damage with that legendary power link active. So I think in terms of overall like damage output and speed, one of the best builds for like a pure accelerated battle team is to just use double Glorio leads and then an entire team of LRs, right? Now, obviously, you don't necessarily have to use an accelerated battle category leader to still make a team full of units that are all on accelerated battle, right? So these guys, whilst they are good for having that actual accelerated battle leader skill, there's 2 units that we're going to talk about who are, of course, must-run units on the team for the event, and that is, of course, the 10th anniversary fusions, right? The AGL Vegeta and the Tech Goku. These guys obviously don't lead accelerated battle, but they are both on it. So if you want to run them as a leader, the fact that their leader skill has fused fighters, has pure Saiyans, has earth protecting heroes, the Goku one, so obviously any Gokus that are on accelerated battle for the most part are on earth protecting heroes. Some aren't, obviously, depending on which saga they come from, but they'll be on pure Saiyans anyway. Fused fighters, obviously there's a lot of accelerated battle fused fighters, so even though these guys don't have an accelerated battle leader skill, it's going to be very easy to make a full accelerated battle team with them. And obviously having, like, you know, especially with these guys being an STR boss, the Hidden God Goku, having like a double Vegeta led team where the entire team is then like pure Saiyan or fused fighter accelerated battle characters would obviously be very powerful, would be very, very effective. So these guys are absolutely must-run characters on the team, but of course you can just run them as a leader if you want to as well, because their leader skill has more than enough room with the different categories that they have for you to be able to run a full accelerated battle team, right? So next up, we also have the Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the anniversary that transforms into Super Saiyan 4. Now, obviously, as a leader, this guy, not really going to work. You might be able to make a full accelerated battle giant 8-power team. I don't think so, but that team would obviously not be particularly great. But obviously, being run on any of these other teams, he's going to be very, very good. Provides that extra defense to power beyond Super Saiyan characters, has dodge. It's very unlikely that you will get to see him transform. Realistically, the only opportunity you're probably going to have, because you can't transform unless you're on low HP until turn 5. So it's only going to be a case of maybe in the final stages, if your team is a little bit on the weaker side, and then you take like some big damage on turn 1, and then Goku's on turn 2, right? And then he can transform. And the Giant Ape thing will be useful, but it's not, you know, it's not a necessity. It doesn't mean he's not going to be good in this event just because you're not going to get many opportunities to use the Giant Ape transformation. He's obviously still going to be a solid unit that can deal good damage. He's an LR, he's got type advantage, so I would say he is a go-to character to run if you got him from the anniversary as well. Then, of course, another character who technically from the anniversary but not their initial release is the 7-year Super Saiyan 4s. The gods are not on accelerated battle, strangely enough, but the Super Saiyan 4s are. Obviously, these guys on their very first turn have 77% damage reduction, which makes them super good defensively on the first turn. And then going forwards, they have guard. So in an event like an Extreme Z battle, which is obviously not, you know, on the same level as like the end game content that we have currently, these guys are going to be perfectly fine defensively in most scenarios. during this event, even in the final few stages. But obviously, you know, depending on who you've got on your team and how you have your rotations set up, it's not like you have to put them in slot 1, but they can slot 1 on the first turn with that damage reduction, which is always very, very helpful. So these guys are really good. Obviously, if you get enough orbs, they attack multiple times. If you can get to the 20 key, their attack's effective against all types, so it doesn't matter that the enemy is type disadvantage. So these guys are a go-to as well. Fused fighters or GT heroes as their leader skill means you could use them as a leader. Obviously, their leader skill would have the fusions on it, but I mean, these guys' leader skill is probably just better because they also contains fused fighters and has the potential for the 220. So can't really see using these guys as a lead if you have the anniversary LRs, but you could make a fused fighters or GT heroes team that was full accelerated battle. So that is an option as well. Tech Giant 8 Vegeta, who got his EZA during the anniversary, he could be a solid slot 1 unit, gets hit, gets that buff, does some decent damage, like has guard. He is an accelerated battle character and another LR. So a lot of these guys, you know, not necessarily the craziest in the difficult content, although Vegeta is actually still pretty good as a slot 1 tank, right? This guy's another great use example, and same with the Kaioken Goku. I know people were disappointed with his EZA overall, but again, with something like an Extreme Z battle, these aren't on the same level as like the endgame difficult content. So a unit like this will be perfectly usable in this EZA, right, and still be able to put out a relatively decent performance. I mean, the only time he's really going to be a liability is if you haven't picked up a lot of STR orbs and then he eats a super, like, but even in the final 10 stages, I don't think the enemy's really hit hard enough that with his post super defense, which is relatively good, he should still be perfectly fine. So I mean, you can see a lot of these characters, as we're mentioning already, like all of these guys are all pure Saiyans, so they all fit on the leader skill of the fusion. So you don't even need to run an accelerated battle leader really if you have the Vegito, because as long as you were playing, I've said this many times before, right, like if you were playing during the anniversary, you should have Vegito, because even if you didn't get him on any of your summons, we all got a free anniversary unit at the end of the game. And hopefully, if you saw my video talking about it, if you saw anyone else's videos talking about it, if you only got one anniversary character, the one that you got for free with your Purunga wish, it should have been this Vegito, right? And so if you're you can absolutely just run his team. You can put pure Saiyan LRs on there, and you can be good to go. We also have the free-to-play version Z Goku that got his Extreme Z Awakening a little while ago with one of the updates for the game's like UI and everything. This guy could be a good free-to-play option because he's an all-types leader, but he does only have a 70% leader skill. But he's a support unit, supporting super class. The enemy does count as an extreme class unit because it's hit and God Goku, so it's like an extreme STR LR. So you are facing an extreme enemy, so he does get extra stats. Supports everybody on the team and is an LR. So if you just want to throw a character on the team that helps buff everybody a little bit and obviously still helps to have legendary power active for doing that damage, then the version Z Goku is a decent shout as well. Then of course we have AGL UI Goku. This guy, Miraculous Awakening or Reps of Universe 7. I think you potentially can make a team out of his leader skill. Obviously for short events, things like EZAs or Super Battle Road, we used him in the earlier video for today, Miraculous Awakening ESBR. For short events, he's really good because he gets guaranteed dodge on turn 1. So the first turn he's on, he can't get hit, he does his damage, and then, as we say, with EZAs only being really 3 or 4 turns, he doesn't really get those opportunities for him to be that big liability that he sometimes can be in this more difficult content after that first turn. So he's a really, really good, solid pick for this team. Absolutely untouchable on the first turn, does a bunch of damage for free, and then on the second turn, you obviously get your damage off, and then still have a 77% chance to dodge, which gets better with each dodge that he does within the turn, right? So he's got type advantage, he should be fine. The only time I think he's ever going to take any serious damage is in like the final couple of stages if he eats a super, but even then, realistically, he probably is going to be surviving that. So definitely a good pick for the team, probably a go-to option. Is the AGL UI Goku. Now we also have the AGL Blue Boys, right? The meme that they are the Saiyans without limits. Remember that these guys have Battle of Fate, Future Saga, or Power Beyond Super Saiyan as their lead, but then they also just have Superclass for any of the characters that aren't in that category. So if you're struggling, like if you don't have any of these other guys, maybe, I mean, it'd be difficult, I guess, to be fair. If you started after the anniversary, so you don't have any of the anniversary characters, I think it's impossible for you to be able to have these guys anyway. But these guys could be a leader if you can't make the rest of the team function very well with what you've got. These guys obviously lead all super class allies. So any other friend that you want to bring, if you want to bring a friend Gloria or something like that, will fit under their leader skill technically. But yeah, these guys could be okay on the team, right? Slot 1, they can dodge. They don't do a crazy amount of damage, but they've got type advantage. Like at the end of the day, whilst they're not a top pick for the team, they're another LR that gets legendary power active for you and can be relatively good defensively, like in that first slot, right? So they could definitely put in some work. Like I say, I don't want to say in any way, shape or form that they're like a top pick for the team, but you definitely can make them work if you're putting your team together and then, you know, maybe you've got the first 5 units and you're just not sure who to put in as the final one. These guys can take that slot. They do want another Future Saga ally in order to get their buff for the first 4 turns, but realistically they don't even really need that in this event, especially if you're only having them on the team as like the final slot filler. You could essentially just float them off and get those extra attacks in at the end. You're probably never going to see Vegito, right? It's got to be like turn 5, and that's with a Future Saga ally in the same turn, and you've got to be at the 70% or less HP. But they could be a decent slot filler. There's also the physical God Goku. He leads Pure Saiyans or Hybrid Saiyans. So he's one of those units that is always a solid leader for these types of things, because there are so many characters that can fit on his team. And obviously, whilst he's not necessarily the most optimal choice necessarily, because, you know, he's not an LR, he's got type disadvantage, you can make a team with all of these other Pure Saiyan and a bunch of Hybrid Saiyan characters. Like, you can make a very good team out of his leader skill, even if he is not necessarily going to be the craziest unit on the team himself. But there is also an LR, God Goku, the int one, who also has Pure Saiyans and Hybrid Saiyans as his lead, which is a lower percentage, but he's an LR, so just kind of like the Blue Boys, if you're looking to fill that final slot on the team, you could throw the int God Goku on there as well. Then we got the STR, Goku and Vegeta that fuse into Vegito. They're an LR, they build up defense, they've got damage reduction. They're very unlikely to fuse. It's like turn 4 and you have to be at 77% or less HP. But these guys could just be a solid unit. They're another character that's a Pure Saiyan, fused fighter, so they fit under a lot of these other leader skills. And then lastly, I just wanted to give an honourable mention to the Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I mean, this guy's EZA wasn't really anything too crazy, but he builds up a little bit by doing his early supers, and then when you do the 18 key super, he does like the big damage. So you can, you know, get him on the first turn, get a 12 key super off of him, then on the third turn, get a big 18 key super, he'll do some big damage, and then chances are you've kind of won at that point anyway, right? He's not the craziest defensively, but much like the God Goku or the Blue Boys, like, he's just a kind of, you can throw him on the team as the final unit, and he's still going to be able to do some work, right? He's not going to be anything super crazy, don't get me wrong, but he could be a viable option to be the final unit on the team. So if we take a look back at the actual category itself and see if there's anybody we missed, I didn't cover a ton of the TURs because obviously we want to focus on legendary power, but the new Kaioken Goku's obviously on there, Janemba's on there, so if you've got a bunch of extreme characters, you want to run that support. I mean, the team is largely super based, but we do have the Janembas on there, so LR Janemba would be on there. Kid Buu is on there, but of course he's a TUR. Cell, like Tech Cell, obviously very good. Like, there's a lot of really good extreme TURs. I guess there's the Frieza and Goku. They fit under the double Gogeta leader skill. Because obviously the AGL Vegeta as part of his leader skill is Successors, which Frieza is on. Well, and also they're on Pure Saiyans anyway because of Goku, right? So this guy could be pretty decent on the team as well. See, there are a couple of Heroes units, but, you know, Heroes didn't get an LR. None of the Heroes units are particularly stand out to be great. You could run the STR UI Goku with the AGL UI. There's the LR Gammas. I mean, they do need certain... They're only doing certain things with the right allies, but they could still be okay, right? Superheroes, like, they could be decent to a certain extent if you need another LR. And then a bunch of other TURs. We just got, like, Kefla with her EZA could be pretty good. the Dragon Fist Goku or AGL Super EZA Super Saiyan 3 Goku could actually be pretty good. But just remember that TURs are all dealing that little bit less damage because we don't have legendary power. The LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku could actually be decent, because obviously remember that this event isn't that hard hitting, so the fact that he has aged pretty badly defensively is fine. Like, him on a rotation with the physical LR Super Saiyan 4s would actually be pretty effective because of all the links that they share. The AGL Spirit Bomb Absorbed Goku as well could be relatively decent because he does have type advantage. Remember, you can't use same name units, but like the Hachiak Special Goku is just like a super class support. He could be okay, but definitely could get tagged by big hits. I think I forgot as well, higher up, even though he's a TUR, there is the AGL Super Vegito, who could do some decent damage with counters. LR Demon King Piccolo is an AGL LR. So you can see there's quite a few LRs, a few strong TURs, but I think it's one of those things that, with this category having the 10-year fusions on it, you just realistically want to go for a team with these guys on it, potentially with one of them as the leader, and then just throw on as many of the Pure Saiyan LRs that you can. Glorio can obviously be good as a leader for that support, but you do run the risk of getting the double Glorio team and having no legendary power active. So let me know what you guys are planning to do down below in the comment section. What is your team build going to look like? I think for the sake of speed, I probably will go with this guy as the leader, and then we can just run a bunch of these Pure Saiyan characters on there, getting the full like leader skill, maybe throw the like Freezer on there as well, and then it's going to be plain sailing. So like I say, let me know what you guys think. What team build are you going to use for the Hidden God Goku Extreme Z battle? Let me know down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.